Two couples on an oceanside getaway grow suspicious that the host of their seemingly perfect rental house may be spying on them. Before long, what could have been a celebratory weekend trip turns into something far more sinister as well-kept secrets are exposed and the four old friends come to see each other in a whole new light. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a new movie review for the film The Rental, which is coming out pretty soon. This is the directorial debut of Dave Franco, and this film does star Alison Brie and Dan Stevens. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about this psychological thriller horror film and let you know if it's worth checking out. Before we dive into the spoiler-free review, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. If new to the channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Give this video a thumbs up, helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you've seen The Rental, let me know if you guys are excited for Dave Franco as a director and maybe doing other horror psychological thrillers. Let me know some of your favorite moments and let me know some of your criticisms as well, and let's have some fun discussions in the comments below. So first and foremost, very excited for this film. As you may or may not know, if you've been a part of this community for a while, I'm a big horror fan, so I'm always up for a good horror movie. And then you throw in the mix Dan Stevens, who I've said it a couple weeks ago on my Eurovision review for Netflix film. He was the best part of that movie, but Dan Stevens is one of my favorite actors, and it, hints to why I'm wearing a Joker shirt there. I do, I'm championing him to be the next Joker in Matt Reeves' movie, or Lakeith Stanfield. One of those two would be perfectly fine. But whether it's The Guest or Legion, one of my favorite shows, I'm a big Dan Stevens fan, so I love seeing him in anything minus Beauty and the Beast. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But either way, Alison Brie, been a fan of hers since Mad Men, seen her in one of the more weirder movies I've seen this year in Horse Girl. So they were both two of my selling points. But then you tell me Dave Franco's directing this movie, who I'm a fan of Dave Franco, whether it be the 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Neighbors 1 and 2, and all the other things from, seeing him in 2007 and, one of my favorite lines is Superbad. I'm a big fan of his. So I was really intrigued to see Dave Franco do a horror film and see if he maybe gives me a surprise hit like a John Krasinski, A Quiet Place, a Jordan Peele, Get Out, and Us. So I was really interested to see this comedic actor turn director and what he gives us. So let's start off with the positives. First and foremost, I think starting off with Dave Franco, pretty hell of a job for his directorial debut. Again, he's been doing this for a while on the other side of the camera, but now putting what he's learned in all these years into the forefront. I thought he did a good job of, number one, focusing on the first half a little bit without getting into spoilers, creating this kind of situation where you have Dan Stevens, who plays, Charlie, and he has a wife played by Alison Brie called Michelle. Her name's Michelle in the film, and you have these other couple, who you have Josh, who happens to be the brother of Charlie, and then you have Mia, who is the girlfriend of Josh, who happens to be the business partner of Charlie, Dan Stevens. So this is really interesting dynamic of okay, Alison Brie's character, who's the wife of Dan Stevens, and you have Mia, or you have Josh, who is Mia's boyfriend. Okay, how do you feel about this relationship that our significant others are so close together? They work so close together. They're having a successful business. How do you feel about that? So I love when the film kind of dives into that. And then the really interesting aspect of this movie for me is, especially when it comes to horror films, the relatability factor, the idea that we've either I think everyone can relate to this. You've either thought about doing an Airbnb and maybe have went to some other route, stay with a family member, stay with a friend, or get a hotel, or you've been in an Airbnb. So the idea of the creepy factor of Airbnbs, right? Especially in this situation when you're in this recluse area, there's really not the best cell phone reception. There's your neighbors are miles up down the road. There's really no populated area. Can you really trust the person that's hosting this Airbnb? Do you know what's behind that closed door that has a lock on it? Do you really know who's lived there before? So I love when the film kind of dove into that aspect. And then, of course, without getting to the spoilers, when we get into the more of that psychological thriller horror, I thought Dave Franco did a good job of creating atmosphere. The shot selections in this film was really unique. There's this one particular scene where it's dark, but there's a lot of kind of really dark blues and really just really good kind of creepy environment that Dave Franco did. So I thought that the filmmaking was really well done, and the first two halves were really intriguing. Two different halves of the film, which we'll talk a little bit later about them combining to each other, but I thought that both halves of the film were very intriguing. Getting into a little bit into the performances, Alison Brie, Dan Stevens, they bring their A game to do the best they can with the script, which I'll talk about the script in a little bit, but I thought that a husband and wife relationship, again, Dan Stevens does a great job of playing the charming gentleman, but that has this very, interesting past, to say the least. And then Alison Brie plays this wife who supports her husband and supports this relationship that he has with this other woman who's his business partner. But there's a sense of tension there that Alison Brie plays a great job at doing. And then you have Josh's character, who is the brother of Charlie, who has this pretty violent past that this film definitely explores. And then Mia is just a very interesting wild card of a character without getting too much into her. So I thought that and then you have Taylor, the owner of this Airbnb, or the host of the Airbnb, kind of this mysterious background, maybe slightly racist, to say the least. So I liked his aspect. So all of the pieces to the puzzle definitely complemented each other. So again, I thought that the movie had a good pace to it. Very interesting story about work relationships, a little bit of, how people treat different ethnicities, how people handle certain things that they find out about, opportunities that's given to different races. And then again, the Airbnb aspect of this film, again, like who am I, where am I living? Who slept on this bed previous to me? What's behind that mysterious door? Are there other things that I should be worried about when going into an Airbnb? So I thought the film played into that really well. Transitioning into some of my criticisms, I mentioned it briefly. This film has two distinct halves. Again, the first half focuses more on the characters, a little bit of their backstory, that tension that I mentioned between Mia, or Josh and Alison Brie's character, Michelle, how they feel about their significant others working so closely together. Again, I like that, they kind of touch on that. And then we get into the second half, and my biggest flaw kind of with this film, outside of the script, and I'm going to touch on a little bit, is the two halves feel so not drastically different, but everything we learned in the first half of the film is kind of, I don't want to say thrown away, but they really don't expand on the things that we could have dove into. Again, the idea of going into an Airbnb, this relationship that they established in this first half, of how these couples kind of look at each other and they find out about their secret past. I wish the film would have dove deeper into that. And we spend literally the 45 minutes on that. But once things kind of hit the fan, they kind of put that on the back burner, which was okay, because again, I'm a horror fan and that's where we get more into the horrific elements, but I wish they would have played more into that psychological thriller into the first half. I don't feel like they meshed well together. I don't feel like they complement each other that well. The script isn't that strong. Again, you have some great actors. Again, Alison Brie, Dan Stevens, you have Toby Huss, who all great actors. The other two actors, again, Mia and Josh, were fine. I don't think they delivered to the same caliber as the other couple in this film, but I thought they were okay. But the script just wasn't that strong to me. There were certain moments, again, the first half is really intriguing, but then they leave out some of those more interesting pieces in that first half and just go straight into, Thor, kind of pick them off type of horror film, which I just didn't think it mixed well that well together. Outside of that, the ending, definitely creepy, but I wish they would explore more into the actual situation that happens at the end without getting too much away. But, wrapping up this review, overall, would I recommend you check it out? Yes, this isn't like a must-see, drop what you're doing right now, rent the rental when you get a chance, but this is a film I recommend you all give it a shot. I think that the directorial debut of Dave Franco was really solid. I'm excited to see what he decides to do next, whether it is a horror film, a comedy, a drama. I think that he showed me a lot within this film, has a lot of potential. Again, I'm a big fan of Alison Brie and Dan Stevens, and I thought that they did a good job in this movie. The other couple was fine, but again, the script isn't that solid, in my personal opinion. It's probably one of the more weaker elements of the film, and the tonal shift between the first half and second half just didn't clash that well to me personally. But at the end of the day, this is a pretty solid horror film, psychological thriller with a little bit of dramatic elements towards the first half, and I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. The rental is something I do recommend you guys check out, and when you do, let me know what you thought about it. Again, let me know your thoughts on Dave Franco as a director. Let me know some of your films that you've seen him in. Are you excited to see him be a more of a horror director moving forward, or would you like to see him tackle other subject matters? Let me know some of your favorite Dan Stevens movies, TV shows, as well as Alison Brie, and let me know all your thoughts in the comments. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Coming later this week, I have reviews for Kissing Booth 2, which should be fun to review. I have a Q&A this Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time. Ask Me Anything in celebration of the 4,000 subscribers that we recently hit a couple weeks ago. And then I'll probably have, of course, my Doom Patrol weekly recap, Perry Mason recap, all that fun stuff coming to you all pretty soon. Thank you all for watching this review. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.